Available now. Link below.
Brace yourselves, folks, because we've got a doozy of a news day for you. President Trump just got hit with a double whammy in his ongoing legal battles, but don't think for a second it's going to slow him down. The Democrats have been coming at Trump with everything they've got, desperately trying to find something, anything, to stop him from succeeding in 2024. They've thrown the kitchen sink at him, but Trump keeps coming out swinging. In the classified documents case, Judge Cannon just denied Trump's motion to dismiss, despite the strong arguments about the vagueness of the Espionage Act. And down in Georgia, District Attorney Fani Willis is facing her own ultimatum after a judge found some serious issues with her testimony. This is a special report you don't want to miss, so stick around for my final thought to understand what this all really means. Now, folks, just like how President Trump is fighting against the Democrats' attempt to block his potential victory in 2024, you can fight back against the greedy utility companies trying to drain your wallet with record-high heating bills this winter. That's why tens of thousands of patriots are using this amazing portable mini heater to quickly warm up their homes while slashing their heating costs. In your first month alone, the savings can help pay for itself. So join the fight and get warm now for a whopping 55% off, plus enjoy a risk-free 60-day guarantee and secure checkout. Don't let the utility giants win. Go to getwarmnow.com before this incredible offer ends. That's getwarmnow.com. Now, in the latest development of the classified documents case, Judge Aileen Cannon has denied President Trump's motion to dismiss the charges based on the alleged unconstitutional vagueness of the Espionage Act. Take a look.
The purpose of today's hearing to decide whether or not the special counsel has a case against Donald Trump. Judge Cannon hearing both sides of that debate today. Shouts of support rattle off outside the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce, welcoming the former President Trump as he arrived Thursday for yet another hearing. His attorneys hoping a judge agrees to dismiss the criminal case against him.
It is definitely a witch hunt, and I hope that this all gets resolved soon.
Let me ask you this.
The debate getting heated between supporters and demonstrators on whether the former president should go to trial for what the Department of Justice says was his willful and unlawful retention of classified documents after he left the White House.
This man running for the highest position in the land.
It's a debate that played out inside the courtroom, too, as Judge Aileen Cannon heard arguments on two motions filed by Trump's attorneys, who urged her to throw the case out. Their first argument that the Espionage Act the special counsel says he violated is constitutionally vague, attorneys telling the court terms like willful and unauthorized aren't clearly defined. So they argue, quote, who's to say Trump was unauthorized or willing to break the law when he moved documents to his Bedminster and Mar-a-Lago homes? The defense's second motion surrounds the Presidential Records Act. They argue the records he removed and retained were personal, not presidential, and are no different than the Reagan diaries or Clinton tapes that were also kept by those former presidents.
I think they need to dismiss it and dismiss it throughout the whole U.S., all of his problems he has.
The DOJ special counsel, though, firing back, arguing the records are presidential, pointing to a quote in the indictment where prosecutors say Trump told a ghostwriter the documents he retained were in fact classified. The DOJ also arguing Trump's refusal to return the documents, even after multiple attempts from the National Archives and Records Administration to get him to do so, prove he willingly kept them. Judge Cannon denying his claim to dismiss the case based on constitutional vagueness. She still has to make a decision on the other motion.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
This has been a big fight against good versus evil, and I think he's going to come out strong.
The prosecution said they'll likely make the argument Trump's retention of those documents could have potentially caused harm.
Trump's legal team argued the Presidential Records Act gives the president discretion to designate which documents are personal versus presidential, and that no president before Trump has ever been prosecuted for taking records with them upon leaving office. They maintain the Democrats are selectively targeting Trump in an unprecedented abuse of power. However, Judge Cannon ultimately ruled that while Trump's arguments may have some merit at trial, they were not sufficient grounds for dismissal at this stage. She pointed out that under Trump's broad interpretation, the Presidential Records Act would be effectively gutted, allowing presidents to designate obviously official records as personal. Now, the prosecution countered that Trump's view would set a dangerous precedent, potentially allowing a president to commit egregious crimes like murder or selling classified information with impunity as long as they aren't impeached and removed from office first. They warned of particularly severe consequences if this immunity was extended beyond a president's term to shield them from accountability for reckless actions taken in their final days in power. Now, despite the setback, Trump's team will have the opportunity to present these arguments in front of a jury should the case proceed to trial. they're confident that no impartial group of citizens will buy into the Democrats' politically motivated witch hunt. Meanwhile, 2 more of Trump's motions to dismiss on grounds of selective prosecution and the Presidential Records Act itself have yet to receive a ruling. Now, turning to the election interference case in Georgia, Trump caught a break from a judge's ruling on a disqualification motion against District Attorney Fani Willis. The controversy arose over Willis hiring Nathan Wade, a special prosecutor who has been leading the case against Trump and his co-defendants. Now, evidence came to light suggesting that Willis and Wade had an improper personal relationship predating Wade's appointment. Though they traveled together, Willis insisted she paid Wade back in cash for her portion to avoid the appearance of impropriety. Judge Scott McAfee decided that while an actual conflict of interest was not conclusively proven, significant doubts were raised about the honesty of Willis and Wade's testimony regarding the timing and nature of their relationship. In his ruling, McAfee stated that an odor of mendacity remains. To address this apparent impropriety, Judge McAfee has given Willis an ultimatum. She must either step down along with her entire office, allowing an outside DA to take over, or terminate Wade from his role in the case. While this is seen as a victory by the Trump team, some argue Willis got off easy by being allowed to remain on the case herself. Let's take a look at how MSNBC spun this.
We have a decision from Judge Scott McAfee of the Fulton County Superior Court. In a 23-page decision this morning, he finds that there is not an actual conflict of interest that was proven by the defendants here, but he also finds that there's significant appearance of impropriety that infects the entire current structure of the prosecution team. And therefore, he gives Fani Willis a choice. She can either choose to remove herself and her entire office from the prosecution of this case, or she can determine that Nathan Wade, the special assistant district attorney who has been helming the leadership of this case, can himself be removed from the case, which would allow her and the remainder of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to go forward. Mika, that's a victory for Fani Willis here. But that having been said, despite the fact that she has been given an easy choice here, notwithstanding that, there is plenty here for the Trump folks to exploit. And in particular, he finds that there was a failure to be as completely honest with the tribunal as these folks should have been. The quote that is really sticking in my mind right now is when he talks about the testimony of Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. He basically says that they did not put concerns that were raised by the defendants to rest, that while the defendants did not prove that there was an actual conflict of interest and meet their burden of proof, an odor of mendacity remains. That's a direct quote from page 16 of this opinion. And he says he's not under an obligation, again, I'm quoting to you, to ferret out every instance of potential dishonesty from each witness or defendant ever presented in open court, but reasonable questions about whether the district attorney and her hand-selected lead SATA, that means special assistant district attorney, testified untruthfully about the timing of their relationship, further underpin the finding of an appearance of impropriety and the need to make proportional efforts to cure it. At the end of his decision, Mika, he's essentially saying, look, disqualification isn't necessary here where there is a less drastic and sufficiently remedial solution available. And that's when he gives Fani Willis the choice. You can either remove yourself in your office, or you can say, as one of our colleagues said to me informally today, boy, bye, you're gone, Nathan Wade, and we will continue to prosecute this case. I just want to zoom out for a second, Mika, and also make one other point to you and our viewers. Notwithstanding the fact that Fani Willis gets to remain on this case, the Trump team and the co-defendants really succeeded here in one other key respect. You know that the modus operandi of the Trump legal world is delay, delay, delay. This motion was made by Ashley Merchant, who is the lawyer for Mike Roman. He was the director of operations for Election Day for the Trump campaign. She made that motion on January 8th, 2024. We are now on March 15th. It took us more than 2 months to complete all of the briefing and evidentiary hearings and closing arguments and now the decision on this. And in the meantime, nothing else on this case moved forward.
Now, legal experts note that regardless of Willis staying on, the controversy has given Trump's side potential ammunition to further undermine public confidence in the prosecution. Moreover, the months spent litigating the issue have allowed Team Trump to successfully run down the clock, delaying the case's progression. Now, these two major rulings underscore an all-out assault that Trump has been weathering from his political foes ever since he took office. Time and again, they grasp desperately at any straw to take him down, only for their efforts to unravel when subjected to the slightest scrutiny. Even now, out of power, Trump remains firmly in the crosshairs of the Democrat establishment. They'll exploit any avenue, stretch any interpretation of the law to its breaking point if they believe it could damage Trump and hamstring his 2024 chances. Yet through it all, Trump has stayed resilient and defiant in the face of unrelenting opposition. The American people see through the partisan agenda driving these charges and still believe in the promise of the Trump presidency, putting citizens first and fighting tirelessly for our republic. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. My fellow Americans, let today's ruling serve not as a discouragement, but as a rallying cry. President Trump has once again been targeted by the shameless political machinations of the Democrats, desperate to cling to their power at all costs. But as we've seen time and time again, Trump doesn't back down from a fight. These setbacks are merely temporary and will only steel his resolve to keep pushing forward on behalf of the American people. The Democrats may have their day in court, but they can't stop the will of the people. Trump's unwavering commitment to putting America first, his fearless defenses of our values and our republic against all enemies, well, these are the qualities that will carry him through the storm and ultimately back into the White House in 2024. So stand tall, patriots, keep the faith, and remember, the best is yet to come.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.